for our final speaker, Alina Amir from Arus Academy. She's going to wrap it up with the importance of education to collective brain. Alina?
From TV to school, this is going to be very difficult. There's been a lot of talk around education lately. Almost everyone I know can tell me how they feel about black shoes, white shoes, Jawi versus coding, national versus vernacular. Everyone has a view on these issues. But if there's one thing that I think that we have achieved collectively as a nation when it comes to education lately, is that we have wasted our time on sensationalized news instead of truly discussing how we can revolutionize education. If there's one thing that could rile people up, get them passionate about, it's education. And yet, at the moment, it's the least disrupted, least evolved, least innovative field. Enter any classroom today and you will find that nothing much in teaching and learning has changed. Our education system is still very much catered for those who are good at memorizing formats or can afford extra tuition help. Our assessment is still not diverse or comprehensive enough to truly bring out the true potential of our students. Our meritocracy system is somewhat broken, and this in turn increases the achievement gap. As a teacher, I often tell my students, if you put your mind to it, you can be whatever you want to be. But I also happen to teach students who grow up disadvantaged their whole life, that they refuse to believe me that whatever is possible for them. Looking at our system, I don't blame them. But the fact that I get to be here on stage, sharing with you my experience and the stories of my children, shows that we still have time to change this. I started my career as a teacher back in 2013, where I taught in one of the worst performing schools in Malaysia for 4 years. Majority of my students came from low-income families, and they struggled with both academics and discipline. I remember on the first day of school, I had to stop 2 boys from throwing chairs at each other. I later found out that it was somewhat a norm to throw furniture at each other and also over the balcony. I taught English and Sejarah. During my English class, they told me there is no place for this language because it is bahasa penjajah, the oppressor's language. During my sejarah class, they also tell me there is no need for this subject. Tak boleh bawa masuk kubur. You can't bring it to grave. In their defense, Datin Saida, they didn't know any better. In my first 3 months of teaching, I was called a prostitute. I witnessed all sorts of vandalism. I've made countless of home visits. But one of the most heartbreaking things for me was when I found out that most of my kids at secondary school level were illiterate. They survived 6 years of primary school not being able to read or pass any of their exams. They have no ambitions or aspirations. The moment they enter the classroom, they put their head down and went to sleep. They have given up at 13. At 13, they truly believe that they have reached their highest potential and that there's nothing education can do for them anymore. My experience in this school really changed the way I saw privilege and equity. So when my co-founders and I started Arus, it was right after 2 years after our teaching experience. We started it because we didn't want to wait anymore. The sense of urgency on the ground is real. If we are going to level the playing field for our kids, it is for our kids today, right now. We saw how the mainstream approach of teaching and learning was not working for our kids. It is not engaging, it is not meaningful, it is not reflective of what they would experience in the real world. So when we first started Arus, we got the kids to build the physical furniture themselves and then their character. We wanted to build a sense of belonging and make them understand that whatever they make matters. In our curriculum, we integrated math, science, arts, and used technology as a tool to bind it all together and bring their learnings come to life. We taught them how to program and code, design and innovate, speak up and respect. We told them, If they're going to make it in the future, they need to be inventors and innovators. No more consuming technology mindlessly. No more being idle. We are going to be the wave of change, and that's the name Arus. Every year since then, our kids from Arus have won numerous awards and recognition, both on the national and international platforms. In 2016, 2 of our kids were the top 10 young innovators in Malaysia, and were flown to Silicon Valley under MDEC to pitch on a project to prevent drivers from texting and driving. Last year, one of our students represented Malaysia for the Global Student Leadership Summit in London. He has created multiple different apps, from solving all sorts of problems, from paying for your parking tickets to a real-time system to detect clogged drains to prevent flooding. Our alumni continue to pursue their passion in technology and innovation. Recently, a group of them came up with this app called Chiapbo. It's a Hokkien phrase that literally translates to one of the most common questions Malaysians ask each other. Makan belum? Have you eaten? They work with Penang Institute to help B40 families to increase income. In completing this app, they're helping their community more than anyone else. They're helping their community to come out of poverty. They're so passionate about making it work because it is more for them than it is for anyone else. My team and I soon realized that in education, the potential for innovation is limitless when we collaborate with the right partners. With all of the content that Arus have developed, we work with strategic partners to get our content out to as many people as possible and to increase access. We recently worked with MDEC, DG, and UNICEF to create video tutorials on the latest national syllabus for computer science to get more people to learn how to code. At Arus, we are also constantly looking to enrich the content that we develop to ensure that we meet the growing needs of our students. We recently collaborated with FWD Takaful to design and implement a brand new financial literacy program called Fund for Life with a digital twist, where students go through a financial simulation, and at the end of the day, they create a digital financial app. We launched this 2 weeks ago with 12-year-olds in Kanga, and the outcome was impressive. At Arus, we also believe that learning should be fun and empowering. In conjunction with the 30th anniversary of the Child Rights Convention, we collaborated with the Ministry of Education and UNICEF to create a board game called Guardians of the Children. It gets students to think about and fight for their rights. We are now working on getting the board to be played all around the world. Our students constantly push us to be more than just an after-school center. In our pursuit to improve the public school education, my team and I started the Powerful Lesson Initiative, where we studied the national syllabus and created lessons around it that are powerful enough to change the way students think, learn, and act. So imagine going into a sejarah class to learn about Ice Age, but also to understand climate change and how to solve it. Imagine going into a math class to learn about ratio to figure out ways to close the gender gap. Imagine going into a geography class to learn about growth population to design and create your own sustainable city. Today, 4 public schools are running our piloted lessons, and we are seeing a whole new level of critical reflection and solution coming from the classroom. When we ask our students for reflections of their time at Arus, most, if not all, would tell us about their new gained confidence or a new purpose for life. For years, they have felt hopeless when simply they have been on unequal grounds, thinking it was innate that they couldn't achieve anything. This year, we decided to expand our reach and collaborated with Buku Jalanan Caukit, an NGO that works with undocumented students and displaced students who have no access to our public school education. In 3 months, we brought the kids out to their first ever innovation competition in UiTM. For the first time ever, they get to meet their peers who come from the public school system. They get to see how far they've come and how far more they have to go. They came home with 2 bronze medals and 2 silver medals. for their inventions that day. Imagine if we had started with them sooner. But what's next without documents? Again, there is no time to lose. The eldest is turning 18 soon. And so Arus have decided to run a more comprehensive Maker Academy next year that would close the loop, an education that would lead to a dignified source of income for the communities in Chalkit. I am sharing with you these stories today because I truly believe that the future of education and the future of our nation's collective brain depends on how inclusive we are and how involved we are in making connections. If we could come up with an education system that meets the needs of the most disadvantaged of children, then we would meet the needs of all children. Societies grow smarter when we increasingly nurture the gifts of more and more of its citizens. When speaking about building a nation's collective brain, we must ensure that the playing field in education is level, that we have a system that enables all kinds of students, that we are brave enough to make big changes. So instead of being part of a sensationalized, politicized news, I urge you to go back to school and find out what you can offer to the teachers and students in school. Mean it for every child, now and the future, when we tell them, if you put your mind to it, you can be whatever you want to be. Thank you. Oh, thanks.